Ever wonder why she misses some men long after they're gone, while others disappear without leaving a trace? Here's the Stoic truth. It's not about how much time you spent with her. It's about how your presence affected her nervous system, emotions, and memory. Most men try to be remembered through words, gifts, or effort. But the man who makes her miss him, he moves differently, with silence, mystery, and self-control. This isn't manipulation, it's psychological precision. Because women miss what they can't fully figure out, but deeply felt. Right now, you may be trying to stay relevant in her world, but the more you try, the more she slips away. The Stoic man does the opposite. He detaches with purpose and lets his absence echo louder than his presence ever did. If you're ready to use calm energy to make her think of you non-stop, like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment. My presence lingers long after I'm gone. Number 1. Why emotional distance makes you unforgettable. There's a strange paradox in the human heart. We rarely chase what's always there, but we ache for what disappears with grace. In a world of constant connection, instant replies and overstimulation, it's not your presence that creates longing. It's the depth of your absence, the kind that leaves a subtle echo behind. A look, a scent, a pause, a mystery unfinished. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding one truth that the Stoics knew well. Value is never in noise, it's in stillness, intention, and scarcity. Seneca once wrote, "Rare things are the most valuable." That includes you. When you become the man who doesn't need to chase, who lives by design rather than reaction, who offers emotional experiences instead of hollow validation, you become unforgettable. Women don't remember the man who texts "good morning" daily out of habit. They remember the one who offered one night of absolute presence, then vanished into the purpose he refuses to abandon. Because you weren't trying to impress, you were too busy becoming someone who doesn't need to. This emotional distance, cultivated from your sense of self, your mission, your restraint, does something few men understand. It plants curiosity. It builds contrast, and in that space of quiet mystery, desire is born. Not because you were unavailable, but because every time you were present, you felt real. And then, like all things rare, you disappeared, not to punish, not to manipulate, but to return to your center, to your values, mission, and truth. And she felt it, she feels it, not in her logic, but in her nervous system, that low hum of "what if I never meet another like him?" The Stoic man doesn't need to be loud. He doesn't flood her inbox. He doesn't prove his worth. He simply leaves his imprint, then lets silence do the rest. This is how longing is born, not through performance, but through depth. Comment below. My presence speaks louder than my pursuit. Number 2. The cost of clinginess. Why needing her destroys the spark. Most men think that to make her miss you, they need to stay close, texting often, revisiting old memories, or reminding her what they once had. But in doing so, they become predictable, ever-present, and ironically, invisible. The truth is painful. The more you chase, the more you erase your impact. What creates longing isn't repetition, it's contrast. And emotional depth can't bloom in the soil of overexposure. Like a fragrance worn too often, your presence becomes background noise when you're too available, too consistent, too eager. Here's what most men don't realize. Feminine attraction is rooted in emotional variation, not constant pleasure, not constant validation, but a range, joy, tension, silence, curiosity. That's what keeps her engaged. You might think bringing up old memories or expressing constant availability is a romantic gesture, but to her, it's pressure. It says, "I need you to feel something for me now." And nothing suffocates attraction like neediness disguised as sentimentality. The Stoics had a word for this: apatheia. Not cold detachment, but clarity. It means knowing what you feel without being ruled by it. It means letting go of the urge to force connection and trusting that what's meant to stay will rise from silence, not desperation. So instead of chasing her attention, learn to own your space. Let her miss you because you left behind something worth missing. Let her feel your absence like a room that suddenly lacks music, not because you stopped playing it, but because you knew when to pause. Your power is not in what you repeat, it's in what you leave unspoken. The space she fills with her own thoughts of you, that's not manipulation. That's mastery. A man who honors his path doesn't cling to the past. He creates energy that lingers. He creates moments that haunt, not because they hurt, but because they were real. So the next time you want to text her a memory, don't. Instead, do something memorable, and then disappear like the last scene of a beautiful film, one she can't stop replaying. Speak out and comment below. I choose clarity over attachment. Number 3. The scent of memory. How to make her miss you without saying a word. Some memories don't live in the mind. They live in the body. A scent, a laugh, a song, and suddenly you're there again, in her thoughts, uninvited but unforgettable. If you want her to miss you, don't flood her inbox. Instead, flood her senses. Longing is born not in reminders, but in imprints. That moment she passes someone wearing your cologne and stops, not because she sees your face, but because she feels you. That's not nostalgia, that's emotional anchoring. This is where the Stoic lens meets psychology. You can't control whether someone thinks of you, but you can influence what they feel when they do. So be intentional with the marks you leave behind. Wear a signature scent. Start inside jokes. Create phrases only the two of you understand. When you craft those emotional fingerprints, you give her something no one else can duplicate. It's not about manipulation, it's about memorability. And here's the secret. The deeper the emotion tied to the moment, the longer it lingers. Not because you repeated it, but because you meant it. The Stoics teach presence, being so rooted in the now that the people you're with feel fully seen. That's the kind of energy that etches itself into memory. And once you've left the imprint, step back. Let her imagination do the work. Let your absence be the silence that makes her seek the music again. You're not trying to win her back. You're becoming a man she remembers with intensity. The man who once said little, but meant everything. Let your moments be few, but unforgettable. Comment below. I leave behind meaning, not noise. Number 4. Leaving her wanting more. The Stoic power of ending at the peak. Imagine watching a movie that drags too long after the climax. The magic fades, the impression dulls. What once stirred your emotions now feels forgettable. Relationships aren't so different. If you linger past the peak of connection, you risk becoming ordinary, familiar, predictable, taken for granted. That's why one of the most magnetic things a man can do is end the moment while it's still glowing. Not abruptly, not coldly, but with grace. Just enough to leave her wanting one more minute, one more message, one more you. Don't let it fade into routine, whether it's a conversation, a date, or a spontaneous text. Let it spark, then pause. This is Stoic self-mastery in action, choosing not to overindulge even in the sweetness of connection. Because the man who can walk away from pleasure with calm is the man who becomes irresistible. Why? Because you don't stay for attention, you stay for alignment. And when the energy is high, you exit, not to manipulate, but to preserve the essence. This leaves her in an emotional peak, a loop unfinished, a feeling unsatisfied, a memory not yet dulled. And in that space, she rewinds, she wonders, she wants more. Seneca wrote, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful withdrawal." Endings crafted with dignity become invitations, not closures. So, don't drag the moment. Don't spill everything at once. Give just enough presence, then let your silence speak. In love, it's not just the beginning that matters. It's how you end, and who's still thinking of you after you've gone. Comment below. I walk away with purpose, not fear. Number 5. The art of mystery. How subtle jealousy keeps you in her mind. We often hear that jealousy is toxic, and it can be when used as a weapon. But when done with elegance, a hint of mystery paired with just enough uncertainty can become the spark that reignites a woman's desire. This isn't about flaunting other women or creating chaos. It's about reclaiming your unpredictability, making her wonder where you are, who you're with, what's lighting up your world without her. Because the truth is simple. When a woman stops wondering about you, she starts forgetting you. When you post that photo at a jazz lounge, no faces, no names, just a half-finished drink and an unexplained caption. New rhythm, same soul. You're not showing off. You're inviting her imagination to fill in the blanks. That curiosity, that subtle whisper of "who's he with?" is more powerful than any long text or emotional plea. The Stoics taught emotional discipline, not emotional absence. They understood the value of perception, of presence, of withholding just enough to remain unforgettable. Mystery doesn't mean manipulation. It means you don't overshare, you don't explain, you simply live. You let your life unfold and let her feel the distance, not as punishment but as presence, the kind that lingers precisely because it isn't fully given. This works because you're no longer begging to be seen. You're seen because you are moving, living, expanding. And that expansion speaks louder than any caption ever could. She won't remember every message you send, but she'll remember when you said nothing, and it made her question everything. Comment below. I choose mystery over validation. Number 6. When she has to compete, crafting subtle tension without saying a word. Attraction dies in comfort zones. The moment she knows you're always there, always waiting, the chase ends, and so does the desire. But what if, instead of chasing her, you gave her the subtle impression she might be chasing you? This isn't about mind games or manipulation. It's about recentering your life around your mission, not around her moods. Start that new project, book that solo trip, dive into martial arts, painting, or anything that forces your mind into flow. Not for her, for you. And as you immerse yourself, something shifts. You become less available, not because you're pretending, but because of your time, attention, and energy. They're no longer handed out freely. Now she has to wonder, where's he gone? Who has his focus now? Did I lose a piece of him? This is what the Stoics called living with purpose. Not sacrificing your direction for temporary affection, but moving forward so others must match your pace or fall behind. The truth is, women don't desire what's easy. They desire what feels earned. When she senses she's not your center, that your life thrives with or without her, she feels the urge to earn her place in it, to matter in a world that doesn't depend on her approval. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. And clarity in a man is magnetic. So let her feel the tension. Let her feel the absence. Let her feel the truth. You are not waiting. Comment below. I move forward whether she follows or not. Number 7. Break the pattern, the magnetic power of becoming unfamiliar. Familiarity breeds comfort. But too much comfort, it breeds invisibility. When she can predict your every response, your every gesture, the intrigue fades. You become background noise. Pleasant, yes, but forgettable. So if you want to reignite that emotional pull, you must interrupt the pattern. Let her notice something new, not by forcing it, but by evolving. Change your morning rhythm, switch up your style. Grow that beard, wear darker tones, speak less and with more weight. Pause longer before answering. Smile a little differently. Post something she wouldn't expect. A book you're reading, a mountain you just climbed, a silence you've embraced. Why? Because unpredictability is power. It tells her, I'm not who you last met. I'm changing, growing, and you may not have access to this new version unless you earn it. The Stoics didn't just speak of constancy, they spoke of intentional change, of becoming something wiser, calmer, more self-defined every single day. When you show her that you're evolving, without announcement, without need for validation, she'll lean in again, not because of what you said, but because of what she feels, a subtle distance, a newness, a challenge. She'll miss you, not for who you were, but for who you're becoming, and that version of you, he doesn't chase, he becomes, and in doing so, he makes them wonder, did I lose him, or did I never really know him? Comment below, I grow in silence, and let them notice. Make her miss you by becoming a man she can't replace. It's not the constant texts, it's not the good morning messages, it's not even the late night confessions. What truly makes a woman miss you is who you are when you're not around, when your absence feels like silence after a symphony, when your memory isn't a routine, but a rupture in her emotional rhythm. That's not luck. That's design. And how do you design that? By leaving behind emotional fingerprints, small, vivid moments that linger. By ending at the peak, not dragging things until they fade. By living with mystery, not exposure. By growing into a man with a life so full, so rich, she must fight to re-enter it. By becoming unpredictably stable, the man who always evolves, yet always stands firm in who he is. You are not just another notification. You are not the echo of desperation. You are the memory that interrupts her day, the image that surfaces in silence, the standard that makes her reconsider everything after you. This is not about playing games. It's about raising your value without noise, being unforgettable, not by force, but by presence. As the Stoics would say, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. In love, this means, don't try to be missed. Be someone she realizes she should have never let go. Comment below, I become unforgettable by being fully myself. You came here searching for psychological tricks. What you found is emotional truth. Women don't miss effort, they miss energy. If you were grounded in yourself, if you listened more than you spoke, if you gave her emotional safety without losing your masculine edge, she felt that, and she remembers that. The Stoic man doesn't fight to stay in her life. He becomes the kind of presence her mind revisits in quiet moments. Not because he begged for space, but because he commanded it through stillness. So don't send another text. Don't post something to get her attention. Just return to yourself and let her feel the contrast. If you're ready to leave an emotional imprint without saying a word, like this video, subscribe and comment. I let my absence do the speaking. Stay untouchable. Stay unshaken. Because she doesn't miss the loudest man, she misses the calmest one.